Well, brand new New Zealand documentaries, some very entertaining films, and some classics from the past will be back on the big screen for the World Cinema Showcase, making its return this year. Bill Gosden, director of the New Zealand International Film Festival and the World Cinema Showcase, joining us this morning to talk about the release of the program. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Nice to see you again. Hard to believe that.
Yeah.
We're back here at the World Cinema Showcase.
Comes around quickly.
But you've obviously been busy with your colleagues selecting films for this year.
Yeah, we're very pleased with the showcase program. You'd expect me to say that, of course. But putting the showcase together is really a natural extension of what we're doing for the International Film Festival. It's an opportunity to pick up on some of the films that, for various reasons outside our control, we just weren't able to show in the film festival last year. For example, the Shafar Panahi film, This Is Not a Film. Panahi, of course, is the Iranian filmmaker who was out here, I think in 2006, with his film Offside, about the young women trying to watch a football match in Iran, which he shot at an actual football match. Yeah. Incredibly enterprising filmmaker. As you're probably aware, he's now been outlawed. He's been accused of treason, and he's been banned from making films for 20 years. This is why the film that he's kind of made is called This Is Not a Film. And he made it under house arrest.
In Iran, wow.
In Iran. And it was smuggled on a USB stick to the Cannes Film Festival at the very last moment last year.
Okay.
And there were huge questions around who exactly owned it and how it was going to be distributed, which prevented us from showing it at the film festival last year, which I would love to have done. It's an extraordinary film. I mean, it's the man is extremely charming in a very kind of grave, very serious way. That was something that struck any of us who met him when he was here back in 2006 before all this trouble erupted. And there's a kind of modesty about him. He's there's no real self-pity emanating from this film, but in it he talks a lot about what exactly it means to make a film or not make a film, very, very wittily. He incorporates a lot of his daily life into the film, and it's surprisingly funny because he's sharing this rather nice apartment in Iran where the whole film is shot with a giant iguana, his daughter's pet that he's pet sitting.
Some risk, though, obviously, for him, the fact that it's been snuck out, and if word gets back that it's being played, does he risk further sanctions?
Yeah, he's incredibly courageous, I think.
Yeah.
It was interesting at the Oscars when the director of A Separation, which is a very bold film too, and one that's amazingly been endorsed by the Iranian authorities, when he made his acceptance speech, which I think was, the most stirring and moving speech of the night as far as I was concerned.
There wasn't much else going on there.
We'll give Brett the prize for the funniest speech.
Yeah, yeah.
But he must have been very, very tempted to mention Panahi when he was making that speech.
Yeah.
But any kind of act of solidarity with his beleaguered compatriot would probably have not been in anybody's best interests.
Yeah.
Panahi, by getting his film shown at Cannes, has really kind of flaunted his situation.
So that's definitely a must-see.
It is a must-see. I mean, it sounds, when you describe the film, it sounds as though it's almost your duty to go and see it. It's actually not like that at all. It's amazingly swift and incident-packed and very engaging and enormously thoughtful film.
Okay, let's look at some others. What is there going to be an opening film at all? Or?
Yeah, we're jumping in the shallow end, which considering that the showcase program is fairly full of some pretty serious movies. We're starting off with one of the more frivolous ones, which is Jesse Peretz's Our Idiot Brother, a Paul Rudd movie.
Okay,
which is enormously entertaining.
Yeah.
He plays a kind of laid-back hippie slacker whose sisters are all very uptight New Yorkers, and he causes them a great deal of embarrassment during the course of the movie. It's great. He's very, very funny.
Yeah.
And Steve Coogan is a poisonous, an amusingly poisonous presence in the movie too, as the ratbag English husband of one of the sisters.
Brilliant. Recently, very much enjoyed him in the Trip.
Yeah, he's so funny. There's
yeah.
nobody else quite like him. That kind of sourness he does so well.
Yeah. What classics are you bringing back to the big screen?
Actually, the only classic is a film that was shot in 2005.
Oh.
Which is Kenneth Lonergan's Margaret. Have you heard about Margaret?
No.
Lonergan made a film which a lot of people love very much in 2000 called You Can Count on Me, with Laura Linney, and I think it was the first time most people saw Mark Ruffalo. A very special film about an awkward brother-sister relationship. And after that, he could pretty much kind of write his own ticket, and he did. He was signed up with Fox to make this film Margaret. And when Fox saw the film in 2005, they weren't entirely impressed. And there's been a very long legal battle since then to get the film onto screens, and it was finally released to considerable acclaim last year. It's a real post 9/11 movie. It's set on the Upper West Side of New York, which is a fairly comfortable middle class zone in New York City. And Anna Paquin plays this teenage girl. I think she was 23 when she shot the film. She's playing a 17-year-old. And she gets involved, she helps trigger a serious accident which involves Mark Ruffalo, and a woman is killed because Mark Ruffalo is a bus driver, and the Anna Paquin character, who's not called Margaret, just to confuse things,
right,
distracts him while he's driving the bus, and he hits a pedestrian.
Huh.
And the film is about the enormous kind of chaos that she causes out of her kind of confusion of anger and guilt, and a really classically kind of teenage maelstrom is unleashed.
Right.
And in the end, she focuses on nailing the bus driver and taking it through the courts. And she's this teenage girl. It's a disturbing and absolutely mesmerizing film.
Oh, one that obviously needed to be brought back.
Yeah.
So,
Fox here were happy for us to show the film as long as we meet all the costs to screen it, which is the offer I made them. I think it's a stunning film. It's not a comfortable 2 hours of your life, that's for sure, but it is, as I say, mesmerizing. And she is extraordinary. It's a great performance.
She's a great actress. Any performance-based or music-based films?
Yeah, there's a heap of music. There's Autoluminescent from Australia, which is about Roland S. Howard, who was as instrumental, I think, in the sound of the original Birthday Party as Nick Cave.
Yeah.
Had a very kind of jagged career after that. He and Cave kind of separated in Berlin in the 80s, if you know the Wim Wenders film Wings of Desire.
Yeah.
There are two great Australian bands in that film. One of them is Nick Cave with the rest of the Birthday Party, and the other one is Roland S. Howard. So he's a kind of musician's musician. He's somebody who people don't instantly recognise.
Yeah.
And he died of liver cancer a couple of years ago. And Mick Harvey and a few other Australian music figures got together to make this film, this extensive interview footage which was made with him in the last year of his life, an amazing archive. You can see Nick Cave playing in bands when he was like 17 or 18, and a skinny kind of art student looking boy.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's a terrific film. I think it's a very, because there are so many musicians who had a hand in making that film, I think that the soundtrack is very special. The way they've orchestrated the sound so sympathetically
Could
to
imagine
the music.
The Dirty Three will probably be part of it somewhere. The Dirty Three are coming to New Zealand very, very soon.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think
Next week, I think.
if Warren, what's his name, Warren from the Dirty Three?
Mm.
I don't remember seeing him in the film,
Okay.
actually. There's a lot of Nick Cave. Nick Cave is a great interview subject, and he talks very frankly about having ripped Roland off kind of seriously when they were young together. It's a bit of guilt there, I think. There's Joe Berlinger's film about Graceland, the Paul Simon album, which is
Just listened to that album the other day.
It's fantastic.
It's an extraordinary album.
It's so joyful, that album.
Amazing.
And of course, Simon walked into a total minefield when he made that album. He knowingly
The whole apartheid.
Yeah,
thing.
he knowingly broke the boycott. The film makes it very clear that he absolutely knew that there was a boycott, and he'd actually consulted Harry Belafonte about whether or not he should do it, and Belafonte had said no, and then was amazed to discover Paul Simon had completely ignored him and done it anyway.
Yeah.
Paul Simon is in the course of this film, he goes back to South Africa for a reunion concert to celebrate the 25th year last year of the 25th anniversary of the album, and in the process he also attempts a kind of reconciliation with Tambo, his first name eludes me, who was the head of Artists Against Apartheid.
Yeah.
And the scenes between the two of them are actually incredibly tense, because Tambo is still clearly not convinced that the album actually had any kind of beneficial effect at all. And Simon's clearly feels this kind of shadow of condemnation that's clouded the success of that album ever since he made
That'll
it.
be really interesting to see. I really want to see that.
Is. Simon has one really pungent remark at one point. He says, "What is it? Are musicians only allowed to turn up when politicians need them?"
Yeah.
And I mean, he definitely speaks from the artist's prerogative, and
Yeah.
is clearly frustrated by the vast number of people who don't recognise that.
Yeah, wonderful. There are so many films, obviously, to look at and talk about, but they are all, or they will be up probably after 9 o'clock, I'd say. The World Cinema Showcase.co.nz. The programs will be out around at cinemas
Yeah, the
as
program,
well.
the distribution's just starting today.
And when does it kick off?
We start in Auckland at the end of this month, on the 29th of March, at the Rialto and the Bridgeway, and in Wellington at the Paramount a week later.
On the 5th.
The 5th, just before Easter. It's always run through Easter in Wellington.
And then Dunedin, and then Christchurch. Where's it going to be in Christchurch?
Christchurch is in Sumner at the Hollywood.
Nice. Bill Gosden is the director of the World Cinema Showcase. It's perfect time as the weather starts to get a little bit cooler.
What weather was that?
And exactly, and the days shorter. Go out there and see some amazing film on the big screen. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next time for the New Zealand International Film
I'll be
Festival.
here all too soon.
Yeah. Time now here on Kiwi is 8.